Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's session on guiding your emotional well-being. So can I just get, Wessam, can you hear me okay? Perfect, wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Thanks very much for hosting me again. I always appreciate you hosting me and being here, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I always try not to let it go to my head, because that's quite important for me, but I thank you. So today is about guiding your emotional well-being, and I am going to share, I basically walk my talk. So I'll tell you a little bit about me, but I'll also share some of the things I do to help myself when it comes to, well, not just emotional well-being, but my well-being in general. So I I'm quite keen to share some of that with me. So I didn't just arrive like this. I wasn't always like this. I was once a wild child. So let's talk about the content. So we're going to talk about emotional well-being. I've just realized I left my introduction slide out. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about emotional well-being. We talk about the definitions around that, what constitutes that. And then we'll talk about some habits, the path of least resistance. So they are the things you do regularly, whether they contribute or not to your well-being. And I'm going to talk about your mindset, your thought patterns as your foundation for good well-being. And then I'll have a few slides to talk about how you can prioritize your well-being if that's something you want to do. I suggest if you are here to do something different, that you grab a notepad so you can just write down some of the points I'm going to make, because I do give a lot of information. It's just the way I'm built, because I know that different personalities, different types will take different things from this. So if there's something that you want to do differently, I may just trigger that thought for you. So just grab something that you can make notes with. So my apologies, I left out my introductory slide. I don't know how I did that. I think I've deleted it by accident. But at the end, I'll share where you can find me if you want to connect with me, if you like my energy and who I am. So I'm going to do my introduction without my slide, my lovely picture and my LinkedIn connection. So I am Rosemary Wilson. I used to have a career in the corporate world. I spent over 20 years in the corporate world, mainly in oil and gas and in the areas of finance and fintech, which is financial technology, and change management, that's implementing large-scale financial systems. So I am no stranger to change. Whilst I was in the corporate world, I had a burning desire to do something else, and that is around helping other people to find their greatness, let's call it, for want of a different word. So I transitioned and I retrained. I am a certified coach, but I also use my life experience. I am older than I look, so I do have a lot of life experience. And as I said, I walk my talk. So I work now with, I'm in the marvelous position. I work with women who want to thrive in their career or take the next step, whether that's in the organization they're in or beyond it. And I also help them to balance ambition and fulfillment, which I think is quite important. I also work with organizations who are committed to nurturing their talent and retaining their talent while supporting a culture of diversity and inclusion, which is very, very important to me as well, obviously, because I am a Black woman. So diversity is here and inclusion is important. So as I said, emotional well-being, habits, the path of least resistance is what I'm covering, mindset as your foundation, prioritizing your well-being, and then we'll open up for Q&A. So as Wessam said, we'll keep you muted until the end, and then you can fire up all the questions that you have. I will ask you some questions and ask you to pop your answers in the chat box. If you can just do 1 or 2 words for a response, so that I don't have to read like paragraphs of writing, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much. So first of all, my first question for you is, what would you like to get out of this session? You've seen the write-up maybe, or perhaps you just clicked accept, didn't read what was going on. So what would you like to get out of the session? 1 or 2 words, no paragraphs, please. Just what would you like to get out of the session? And I'll be interested to see if there are any surprises there. Maybe you just want to listen, maybe you just like the sound of my voice. Yeah, but just tell me what you want to get out of this. And for those of you who've met me already or seen me speak, you know what I'm about. If you haven't heard me before, then maybe, maybe there's something new or different you want to hear. So what would you like to get out of the session? I can hear a dog barking outside. I'm not sure if that translates into the insightful takeaway. Okay, reduce negative thoughts. Cool. Okay. Tools to keep good feelings. All right. New ideas. Losing the morning dread. That's a good one. Meditation. No, I'm joking. Losing the morning dread. You've got to make sure there's something in the day that you're excited about. I can answer that for you now. If there's nothing exciting for you, we can see what that is. Something practical to apply every day. Okay, super. Thank you very much for those responses. I'll see what I can do for you. If you don't get what you want, please tell me at the end. So let's talk about what is well-being. So for me, it encompasses everything: your emotional well-being, so how you handle everyday stresses, how you deal with challenges, kind of where you are on the level of feeling good or okay about life. I'm not saying that you need to be bouncing off the walls every day with happiness, but if your mood is low every day, then maybe there's something you can do differently about your well-being, your emotional well-being. It speaks to your mental health well-being. So what state of mind are you in? Are you worried? It's beyond worried. It's kind of the depressed, sad syndrome that you may be experiencing. And physical well-being. These are all three the elements of well-being. Physical well-being is about, can you move? Can you walk? Are you active? If you're not in a wheelchair, even if you are in a wheelchair, can you move your upper body? Are you getting enough physical exercise? So these are the elements that encompass well-being. Now, for me, these three are all important. I can't have one without the other. If something's going on physically, generally, that doesn't make me feel good. So I try to look for ways to make sure I'm active, I move, my emotional well-being is good, and my mental health. But I've got lots of tools and techniques to get around that. So I will share some of those with you as well. I just see another chat there. Inspiration. Okay, I'll see what I can do for you. So for me, well-being is about balance. So again, this is personal, and you may not relate to this. It might not be your thing, but balance is quite important to me. So first of all, it's important for me to feel good, because if I don't feel good, then everything else around me externally is going to impact me. So first of all, I make sure I'm in a good spot, I'm in a good place, mentally, physically, etc., emotionally. Balance is about connection. So if you are not connected with people, or you don't feel a good connection, you kind of lose that sense of balance. Maybe there's some loneliness that comes in. So connection is also important, and communication. So the way we connect is through communication. Now, it's obviously been a little bit difficult because we can't see, not everybody, it depends on where you are in the world. Not everybody can still see their relationships face to face. So the communication has really moved to being online. And some people say that you lose that connection or lose the ability to communicate effectively when you're online. I don't think that's the case. I think you can still create that connection and communication online. It's not the same, but you can keep that bond going whilst you're using other spaces that you can connect with people face to face, whether it's sitting on someone's doorstep, they're in their house and you've got your stool outside. I think that's also important. Sharing a cup of tea, I think that's quite nice. You could bring your own cup if you don't want to touch someone else's cup. But that's important, and that keeps your relationships going. So for me, it's about balance for self, connection with other humans, communication is important, and relationships. They're all essential to that balance. Now, this is me. This is my aim in life in general. So, life happens. It's happening all around us, and there's some crazy stuff going on. Right, well, case in point, what's going on now, but just in general, there's always stuff going on, always. There's never a day when nothing crazy is going on in the world. So life goes up and down, up and down, up and down, like your heartbeat, up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, what I seek to maintain is a steady balance. So not to go with the peaks and troughs because they're exhausting. So not to be stressed out, and my heart rate going up and not experiencing really super lows. So I try to maintain balance, but again, I have lots of different tools that I use. I'm not saying that I'm always high, but I like that steady sense of focus. I say no to what I can't manage. Peace and silence and quiet is really, really important to me. So I say no to what I can't manage. And I think it's important for us to have that built in us, because it's so easy to say yes, 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 yes all the time. So I think saying no is important when you need to have that downtime. Nutrition is important to me. I don't know if I can't remember I know I've told this story before, but I was diagnosed 18 years ago with multiple sclerosis, that's MS. So for me, that changed my outlook on life, because I don't know what's going to happen to me in the future. But rather than worrying about it, I just do what I can. So nutrition is important to me. And that's also why balance is important to me. I've got number of other life issues that I have to focus on as well. So that's why I try to maintain a balance rather than having these ups and downs. So nutrition is important to me, and movement. I walk every day, or I run. I do weight training. I've got a little gym at home, just some dumbbells and a bench, a workout bench. And I do different types of exercise. And I also do meditate. So I'm literally walking my talk. And I also rest my mind. Sometimes I just do nothing. I just sit there and I look out of the window, look in the garden, and I just sit quietly. And that is me. That's just heaven. I don't need to be rushing anywhere, but that's me. So you got to find where your space is. Where is your balance? What's important to you? Not, obviously what I'm saying is it works for me, but I'm just giving you some ideas of what you can do to maintain that balance for you. I wanted to include tech in this presentation as well. I've talked about tech before, and we wouldn't be where we are now without tech, especially with what's going on. The Internations events have been absolutely incredible, just for connections. People have made friends. Once we can travel freely, I'm sure there'll be lots of visiting people in different countries who we would never have had that opportunity to meet. So I think tech is a wonderful thing, and it can be your friend, but it can also be your enemy if you don't have that balance. So, putting the phone away, or putting the tech away, stop staring at screens. These are all important, but for each person, finding your balance of when it comes to tech is quite important. If you're all for tech and everything's working out for you in life, then that's wonderful. But if you're finding that you're not doing things because you're spending too much time online, or you're spending too much time, I don't know, gambling, that you can do everything, or ordering food or ordering alcohol, I don't know, whatever, gaming. If you're finding that other things are suffering, especially your emotional well-being, then perhaps it's time to have a look at what you can do to back off from the tech. It might be an addiction, it might not be. It might be that if you just reduce your interaction with tech, that it's not an addiction, it's okay, and that relieves you from that pressure. So there's different things you can do. Obviously, you can delete apps, you can grey screen your phone, because apparently the colors of the screen makes it more attractive to you, so you're more likely to hone in on using your phone. You can grey screen your phone instead. Put your phone in another room, switch it off when you're eating. Now, there's lots of different ways that you can handle tech if it's become a foe to you, an enemy. So just some tips there for you in terms of your emotional well-being. So I want to talk about your focus. And always, I listen to conversations, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, but probably at the end of this conversation, we'll get into some discussion, and everybody will start talking about what's broken, what's not working, what they can't do, how miserable everything is. And I hear that conversation all the time. Whenever I'm listening to conversations in my environment, I hear people focusing on what's broken and what's not working. And yes, we can talk about that, but what can we do about it? And I'm a big fan of focusing on what's in my control. So, we often focus on what's broken and what's not working. But so where does in terms of your well-being, in terms of feeling good, so feeling good, feeling great, feeling wonderful, whatever you want to say, where does your focus lie when it comes to your well-being? What do you focus on mostly every day? Do you focus on what's not working, what's going wrong, or do you often focus on what's right? So the lady who said what's right or what's good or what's what you can do, let's say, what you can control. So what do you choose to focus on? So the lady that said you wanted something to be motivated or get out of bed for, is it that when you wake up that you're focusing on the kind of doom and gloom of life, or is it there's something else that's happened behind the scenes that's making you lose your motivation? So these are just some questions that you can ask yourself. Where does your focus lie? Where do you often focus your energy, your time, your mind? And what do you choose to focus on? Good things that you can't do anything about. Just you can answer that question for yourself. Those are really helpful questions. And then because sometimes we don't notice, we're so used to being miserable or not miserable, but focusing on things we can't control. We're so used to that we don't realize we're doing it. And just to remember that your energy goes where your attention flows. So if you're focusing on what's not working, what's not right, what you don't like, what you can't do, what you don't have, all of those things, that's where your energies go. That's where your attention and your energy, they're going to go in the same direction. So you're bound to feel miserable because that's what you're thinking about. You're bound to feel unhappy. You're bound to feel sad. Whereas if you think about, what you can do, what's coming up, what you're excited about, what you're grateful for, gratitude. I'm not going to talk about gratitude so much, but misery and gratitude can't live in the same place. So just remember, your energy goes where your attention flows. So if you feel low on energy, what's got your mind? What are you attached to? So just think about that. And we live in this space. We live in the easy route. We go down the path of least resistance. It is the things we do every day just become easier and easier. So what you wake up doing or what you do throughout the day become easier because you practice them. That it's the most traveled road, and you just become adept at them. You become an expert. So that speaks to, not feeling good or not looking after your well-being, not finding things that you can connect with in terms of your emotional well-being, not communicating effectively. So if that's your habit, if some of these things are your habits, they become easier, and the path to change can seem a little bit more difficult or daunting because we're like, well, this is what I'm used to, this is what I know. But just a switch of the mindset, a switch of your perspective can make a difference. And when you start doing something new, obviously the road will be less traveled. So it might be difficult to do it, or difficult to embark on something new. But if you want something different, especially when it comes to your well-being, that hurdle of doing something new or different is important. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. They're probably there in me somewhere. I've had some terrible habits in my lifetime. And every time I tried to change, I would revert back. I'll change and revert back. Oh, but it's fun, I used to love partying. I used to love going, when I used to work in the corporate world, I used to love going out during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was exhausted because I was going out all the time. But that was my habit. That was my thing. I loved going out. I loved meeting people. We worked in an environment that was work hard, play hard. But all of that wasn't good for my health, obviously. This is before my diagnosis as well, and probably at the beginning of my diagnosis. But I had to do something different because I knew that I didn't want my health to suffer. And it was difficult. It was really difficult because these habits become ingrained in your mind and they become harder to change. But I always say, focus on one thing that you want to change and just do that one thing well. Change one thing. Once you've nailed that, then move on to the next. Don't try and do lots of things at once. Now, your mind is important. And as I said, it depends on how much time you spend, I don't know, worrying or thinking that these things aren't great. I'm fearful, these types of things. So, the things that you worry over, how much time do you spend in that worry zone? How much time do you spend in a zone of unhelpful thought patterns? So unhelpful thought patterns are thought patterns that you stay in that moment and not taking action, but just feeling incapacitated and not able to do anything and not strong or not motivated or not heading in the direction that you want to be in. So you want to feel better with your well-being. So how much time do you spend in that zone of unhelpful thought patterns? If I were to ask you to measure throughout the day, so we're sleeping for whatever amount of hours, pick your number, between 5 and 8, I don't know, 5 hours, 5 to 8 hours that is. So when you're awake, how much of your time, if you were to chart it, how much of your time is spent on unhelpful thought patterns that are moving you away from what it is that you want? Now that's quite a heavy question, but how much time do you spend in that zone? So think about that, answer that question, take a screenshot if you need to, or listen to the recording. How much time do you spend in that unhelpful zone? And it's important to prioritize your focus to help you to focus on your mindset is to prioritize your focus on what's important to you. When it comes to your well-being and your life, what's important to you? And this worry zone, how much does that take you away from what's important to you? Focus on what really matters to you. Worrying about, I don't know, whether you're going to get COVID or not, does that really matter in the grand scheme of things? How about worrying about, I'm not going to get COVID? Or how about saying, I'm going to keep myself so well, I'm not worried about getting COVID? I'm using that as a probably a terrible example, but how about focusing on something that you want to do that's really what that really matters, rather than focusing on those unhelpful thought patterns? And focus on what's in your control. And the easy way to do that is ask yourself, am I in control of the outcome of this? And if you're not, that's a way to release that pressure that you put on yourself. If you're not in control, just let it be, and let whatever needs to roll out, because you're not in control anyway. It's an illusion. Things are going to happen that you aren't in control of. So how are you going to react to that? Quite important. So your mind is your engine. So your mindset is your engine. And as I said earlier, the thought patterns that you repeatedly have keep you where you are. So if your mind is stuck on repeat of those unhelpful thought patterns, that's what you're going to focus on. That's what you're going to get. That's the energy that you'll have. That's the energy you're going to put out. So think of your mind as your engine. You are in control of it. Unless you are medically unwell, you are in control of your mind. You are in control of your thoughts. So how about focusing on keeping it running well? How about focusing yourself on keeping it running on the things that you actually want and the things that support your well-being? How about doing that? So what do you need to do differently? I'm going to repeat. I'm going to keep asking you, what do you need to do differently? Not what do I need to do differently, but what do you need to do differently to support your well-being? I'm not going to give you the answers. I'm going to give you a series of ideas and questions to help you think about what you need to focus on. Because my answer obviously is for me, and without knowing who you are, I can't guide you and tell you what to do. I can only offer you some ideas on what you can focus on or what you can choose to do. So what do you want to improve? I asked you earlier on what's your reason for being here. So if you whittle it down to something more specific, What do you want to improve? What do you want to do that says, I love me? What do you want to set? What do you want to do that helps and guides your emotional well-being or your physical well-being or your well-being in general? What do you need to do, or what do you want to improve? Have I sparked any thoughts for you? Did you think about, I don't know, I need to go to bed earlier, or I need to wake up earlier, I need to exercise more, I need to stop drinking caffeine? I don't know. What do you want to improve? Just pop it in the chat box, 1 or 2 questions. I need to put my glasses on. What do you want to improve is the question. Yeah. Hi, Dita. Wonderful. Yeah, nature is a beautiful thing. Get more sleep. Yes, Wessam. You spend way too much time awake. You're like always awake. I'm like, well, I wonder when that window of sleep occurs for you. Do the things I plan. So if you could pick one thing, Mara, do the things I plan. Because if you've got a list, if you've got 5 things on your list and you think you want to do all of them, and you're not doing all of them now, you're still not going to do all of them in 2 to 3 to 4 weeks time. So pick one thing and just do that. Wake up earlier, have more time, more hours in the day, and go to bed. So what do you need to do in order for that to happen? What do you need to commit to in order for that to happen, Claudette? Say no more often. Yay, say no more often. Yeah, get people annoyed and say no more often. They're like, who are you, Pilar? You always used to say yes. Patience, yeah, optimism. These are great. So when you write these things down, you've written them down now for me, thank you. What do you need to, I like that one. I won't say, well, I won't say who, but get more cuddles. I love that. Hopefully you'll be able to get more cuddles soon. Learn how to say no. Yep, just say no. Ditch the guilt and say no. It's really quite freeing and liberating when you do get to that stage, if you need to as well. Living some of the special plan. Yeah, so you're sharing these with me. What do you need to do? That one thing, very specific. What's the one thing that you need to do to make what you've told me happen? What do you need to do tomorrow morning or tonight before you go to sleep? What do you need to do to make that happen tomorrow? Yeah, I like that. Ask more questions to understand what others feel, so the empathy before I try to give them some unwanted advice. Yeah, and also giving people advice, sometimes is a no-no, because what you would do in a situation may be very different from some other people, from what the other person's situation is. So yeah, it's important to find out what's going on for people. So for whatever you've shared with me, thank you very much for sharing with me. Whatever you've shared with me, and if you're listening to the recording and you're not here, when you've written down the question, it's all very well. I once had a coaching client and she said, I want to make the world a better place. And I'm like, well, in my head, I was like, the world's a big place. You've got to kind of need to whittle that down. So I had to work with her to work out what that actually meant specifically, because making the world a better place is quite a huge task, because seeing as though we've got so much stuff going on. So yeah, when you think about what you want to do, just write it down, stick to it, make a plan that will work. And if you can't do it on your own, get a buddy, get someone to help you. Tell someone that you're doing it so that they can help you, they can be your success champion, those sorts of things. So thank you very much for sharing those with me. I'll have a look at those as well afterwards. So being present. So Dita, you talked about walking in the forest and seeing the amazing plants and trees. Now I do love nature, and I have to say that keeps me grounded. Sometimes if I'm having a challenging day, I'll literally, whereas before I would work at the problem until it was solved. Now I just say no, I close my laptop and I'll go for a walk. And I guarantee just breaking that pattern and going for a walk, even if it was raining, for instance, going for that walk will shift how I'm feeling in that moment and will allow me to come back fresher with new eyes and new perspectives. So That's really important for me. So being present or doing something to break that pattern. But being present is quite special, because we're always focusing on the next thing. We're focusing on when this happens, I'm going to, when I get more money, when I get my promotion, I'm going to, insert whatever it is that you're going to at some time. But in the moment, life is happening every single second, every single day. And whilst you're planning for the future, you're allowing life to slip past you. That is here in your moment. So being present, so bringing yourself back to now, this moment, you can plan, but don't, I'm really looking forward to next year when I can go traveling. Now, don't say that. So what about the time before next year? What are you going to be doing then? So think about slowing down. Think about being in your moment now, and not worrying, because your worries are in the future. You're worrying about things that are going to happen in the future that you don't know. You have no idea. So bring yourself back to the present moment. There's lots of different techniques that you can use if it's something you want to be, if you're committed to and something you want to do. So slow down and do one thing at a time. We're talking about well-being, so do one thing at a time. Multitasking, doing multiple things at once. Some people love doing that, but that's not always the best way to stay calm and stress-free. Do one thing at a time. Enjoy that one thing that you're doing. Enjoy the experience. Tune out if you need to. I didn't realize I love silence, and I don't know if it's an age thing, but I love silence. Like when I'm sitting in my garden, I love silence. So I've got neighbours on either side, and when we're all out in the garden, someone will have their music on and someone will be shouting, and it's very rare that I can go outside and listen to the birds. But when I can, it's absolutely marvelous. I don't know, I get a sense of rejuvenation. And maybe as I get older, I'm getting all airy fairy, but it makes me feel good. It adds to my well-being. So perhaps you can tune out from all the noise and the hustle and bustle, and feel the strangeness of it all. Feel the strangeness of slowing down. Feel the strangeness of not doing anything, if that's what you need. Of course, I'm telling you this, if it's what you need. If it's not what you need, then that's cool too. Do whatever you need to help you feel good, and when it comes to your emotional or your well-being. And obviously, your overall health relies on these things: sleep, good sleep patterns, good nutrition, feed your body with good food. It's your food is your fuel. So when you feed it, when you feed your body good fuel, it reacts in a wonderful way for you. It's supportive. Your health is better, you feel more energetic, you sleep better. So look after your overall health. Movement, walking, whatever that is, yoga, I don't know, running on the spot, skipping, just walking in the forest, walking on the beach, whatever you can, wherever you can get out. Walking on the spot, that's also, it's movement. It's all movement, and it gets your heart rate going. And obviously connection to other human beings, however you can get that at the moment. So more hugs if possible, but keep yourself healthy as well. When it comes to hugging, I don't want to be seen as giving advice. Actually, run through the streets and hug everyone. I shouldn't say that. But you do what you need to do what you feel comfortable with, do what makes you feel good, but connect with people, whatever that looks like. The routine is important. Doing the same not the same thing, but having a routine, especially if you want to create new habits. What you do regularly really matters. So if you want to, for instance, you want to, I don't know, lose weight, and you're constantly at the biscuit jar, then you're not going to lose weight. You're going to have a lot of sugar in your body. So what you do regularly counts when it comes to your well-being. So if you say you want to be healthier, what does healthier look like? If you want to look after your emotional well-being, or you want to get excited again, if you've lost your mojo, you've lost your excitement, sit down and think about what small thing can you do that will get your excitement going, that you can start doing regularly. And the thing with routine, when it's becoming new and you're bedding it down, sometimes it doesn't become permanent until it is permanent, or until it's more permanent, let's say. So when you start a new habit, you might find that you stray. You might, I won't do that today. I don't really feel like it today. So if you stray, just go back when you're ready. Don't beat yourself up. Ditch the guilt. It's so overrated, guilt. We do it all the time. It's just so overrated or underrated. Just ditch the guilt and just go back to whatever you need to when you're ready. Just return when you're ready. So if you say you're going to have a healthy eating pattern, and then tomorrow you feel like biscuits, have it, and you've had the biscuit, then just don't feel bad about it. You've had the biscuit, it's gone. Just get over it, enjoy the biscuit, and move on tomorrow, or move on later in the day. It's fine. If you do need a great nutrition plan, get in touch. I know some amazing nutrition plans and some wonderful ways that you can eat, and you don't need the biscuits, because you won't have that low insulin resistance or insulin highs and lows. So anyway, that's just a side point. But just have a routine, have something that's balanced, something that's important for you, depending on, of course, what you want. It's all about what you want. So think about your environment as well. What's your home life like? Is it conducive to your well-being? Are you happy at home? Is there something going on for you? Think about your relationships. When it comes to your home environment, do you have, too much stuff? Is there something you could get rid of so that it's a bit more of a peaceful, calming environment, or a bit more a happy place for you? But you think about that. You know what you need. Think about your relationships with your friends and family and spouses. Is that a good environment? Are you happy in your relationships? Is there something you can do differently? Could you perhaps talk to your friend or family if it's not going so well, and say, look, I really love you, or I really care about you. I notice our relationship isn't going very well. I'd love to make a difference. What do you think we could do together to make a difference? So that's important. So think about your environment and where you work. Are your employers treating you well? Are you happy? Are you enjoying it? And if you're not, what can you do? And leaving is not always the only option. Having conversations is also important in terms of any of these, except for your home environment. You can't have a conversation with your bookshelf or your clothes, your wardrobe. Well, you could have a conversation with your wardrobe. I guess you could. But anyway, communication is important. So think about what you can do differently. Boundaries. All right, hands up. Who said no? They want to say no more. So when it comes to boundaries, I think this is really important. When it comes to boundaries, if you don't know what your own boundaries are with yourself, how on earth are you going to tell someone else what your boundaries are? So you need to make sure you know what you are prepared to put up with when it comes to yourself. What do you want to accept? What do you categorically not want to accept? And what at a push, what will you tolerate? So find out what your boundaries are. If you're constantly saying yes, or constantly doing things for other people, or you're being taken advantage of, that means you haven't got your boundaries set for yourself. And start exercising the right to hold your boundary. People will respect you more. Those people who may be taking advantage of you, once they realize they can't do it anymore, they'll say, oh, gosh, what's happened to Susie? I used to be able to do it. They might be thinking this. I used to be able to get her to do anything, or she used to look after the kids all the time. And now she's saying no. What on earth is she doing? Why is she saying no? She'll get used to it, whoever, your friend or your spouse, whatever, they'll get used to it. Initially, it might feel uncomfortable to you because it's different from you and it's just change. Again, it's that path of least resistance because you've been walking down it so often, you're used to it. So set your boundaries for yourself. Also, for those who want to look after your health and well-being, if you're, for instance, staying up until 4 a.m. watching, Netflix, and you know that you need to get up for work at 6:30, that's not your boundary. That you're not setting that boundary for yourself. So you're constantly going to be annoyed with yourself or fed up or tired. So make sure you set your boundaries for yourself first, and then you can relay that out to others. Once you know what your boundaries are, maybe do one at a time. And looking after yourself isn't selfish. Self-care isn't selfish. I'm sure we've all heard that phrase many, many, many times. Self-care is not selfish. So make sure you look after yourself properly. And then for those of you going for a rough time, you know, whatever's going on for you, building what I've just shared with you here today, build strong foundations. So the reason why I'm able to have that steady line, I said my aim is that balance, is because I've set strong foundations for myself. Resilience, emotional intelligence, communication, effective communication. You know, I say what's on my mind. I don't mind if you're offended by it, you know, but I have to be honest. And, you know, we can talk it out. But I've set those foundations for myself, which are really important, which allows me to have different perspectives and creates a greater sense of resilience. And I have this phrase, no storm lasts forever. So when I'm in the middle of a storm, I'm in the middle of a challenging situation, things aren't going well, things aren't going right. I've had too many no's for projects, or people promising me things and they don't turn up, or whatever. Once I'm going through that frustration, I actually literally say to myself, breathe, and no storm lasts forever. And I repeat that mantra until I'm calm. And then I might go for a walk. But the point is that I don't allow that to cloud my day or cloud my vision, you know, having being annoyed for like hours and days at a time. I'm literally over them in a short space of time, because my life is precious, you know, I know that. So if someone wants to have an argument with me, or they're upset with me or whatever for any reason, I'll try to figure out how we can get to a solution, because I don't believe in holding grudges or carrying on and being angry and upset. So that's important for me. No storm lasts forever. I use that all the time when I can feel myself getting into challenging situations. And as I said earlier, I think about what I can control. When something happens out of your control, what do you do? What happens? Do you get annoyed? Do you get frustrated? Do you start shouting, or are you quite calm? How do you respond? You know, if you can't control something, what do you do? And what's the best thing for you to do? And most of the time is let it go. So I'm going to come up to finishing soon. I'm not quite there yet, but so when you want to feel better, so I'm big on the present moment, because when you're in the present moment, you can figure out your plan if you need a plan. So what's happening right now to bring you back? If you're feeling low or sad, what's happening right now? What can you do right now that's in your control? And what's the one thing you can do to feel better? So ask yourself these two questions. What's happening right now? And what's the one thing I can do to feel just a little bit better? So is it go for a walk? Is it talk to a friend? Is it hug a friend? Is it to say no storm lasts forever? So have yourself a little toolbox that you can have when you feel challenged. So that's the best I can do for you right now. These questions that I'm giving you are really useful. And if you are feeling unmotivated and a bit lackluster, you've lost your zing, maybe you just need to rest. Maybe you just need to take time out and do nothing. Maybe that's okay. Sometimes doing nothing is actually okay. So rest your mind, meaning don't worry about the future, don't worry about what next, don't worry about the plan, don't worry about dinner, eat something that's easy to make, I don't know, but rest your mind. Don't go into the worry zone. Rest your body if you need to. So rest, sleep, sit, just rest. And rest from doing anything. Just take that time and don't feel guilty about it. That's really important as well, if you come across these situations where you feel unmotivated. So I've shared today emotional well-being, talked about the habits, your path of least resistance, what you do daily, how helpful are your habits in terms of what you want in your longer term. Because don't forget, you're not going to be the age you are forever. Sorry to be so miserable. So what do you want your future to be? What do you want your legacy to be? And think about the habits you do every day or daily, are they taking you to where you want to be, or what you want your legacy to be? And use your mindset as your foundation. If you have a firm list of things that you can do, 3 or 4 things that you can look at, put them on your desk or on your fridge, so that if you do find yourself straying emotionally or in terms of your well-being, what can you do to bring yourself back to this kind of calm place? And I shared some ways that for you to prioritize your well-being. So we're recording this, so I have some questions for you. So this can be your homework. What do you worry most about? How certain are you that what you're worrying about is going to happen? And what evidence do you have that the thing you're worrying about is going to happen? So take a picture of this. So what do you spend most of your time worrying about, if anything? Maybe you're not a worrier, maybe you're a happy person. Please share the ingredients with everyone here. How certain are you in terms of a percentage? So 1%, 10%, 100%, how certain are you that whatever you're worrying about is actually going to happen? And what evidence do you have that that thing is going to happen? So there are 3 wonderful questions, again, to help you as another tool to help you guide when you're feeling worried, and to reset that mind and get you to that space where you let it be out of your worry zone. So I'm Rosemary Wilson. These are my contact details if you want to have a chat, or you want something, I don't know, ask me a private question. If you are on LinkedIn, you can use the QR code here. You can use the QR code here and can connect with me on LinkedIn. I should have shown this earlier as well. There was two slides with my introduction. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Love to hear from you. I'm always doing sessions, so different topics, different things. So please get in touch. And now we are on the Q&A. So I'll switch off